Hey everybody, are live. We are ready. I'm excited for today. Today is the launch day of Next Level Kidmin. This book has been a labor of love for, 10 years. I've been working on this book. I first started working on my blog, just writing things down, just things that I was learning and ideas, just so I could share with other leaders like you. I have all the things that I'm learning and doing that, and that has really just grown up. And over a while, I got to the point where I was like, I think this could be a book. And so as I started writing those things out, and it had some delays and some put off, and I'm just so excited for this to be out in the world. And the big thing is that now that this is out in the world, people will get to see it. Children's ministry leaders will get this valuable resource in their hands so that they can actually go further, faster. I said this in a lot of different podcasts that I was in, that I really started sharing this book. I wanted to write this book for children's ministry leaders who like just can't figure out where to go, or they feel like they're totally alone. Because I know when I first started out, that's the way I felt, that no one understood, and that I was completely alone. And by taking this book and sharing it, by putting it all in this, my hope is that just as I found a podcast and some help to help me in children's ministry, that this can help those leaders as well. So thank you, launch team, those of you that are watching this and have sent in your questions for me to answer today, for helping me spread the word and get this as many hands as possible for Next Level Kidmin. I'm so excited for what is coming up. So I asked my launch team to send in some questions. So if you're watching this and you have some questions while we're watching live, put those things in the comment there so I can see them, and I'll answer those as best I can as we get in here. So the first question that I have is from Sharon Jones. Sharon, let me just say, you have been an incredible person for promoting the book, and been my biggest advocate from the beginning. Once I first announced this, and she's not on this feed because she's in Australia, so it's getting all the way around the world. And she told me last night it's 2 a.m. there, but she's going to watch the live later, and so we're just glad that she's there. So this is her question. She said, "What do I do when my pastor will not listen to my concerns regarding things happening in children's ministry? For example, food out to children not properly labeled with allergens device, cheese being put out on a fruit platter, resulting in children with dairy allergies unable to eat anything on the fruit platter. Also, dysfunction amongst the team members. Our families have started to notice the tension between some team members. However, my pastor, who attends our group, therefore sees things, repeatedly ignores the issue." I will say that this is a difficult question. I read over it a couple times, and there's a lot of different things going on in this question. The first thing, when we want to talk about food allergies and things that's going on, those type of things, what you want to do when you have kids with allergies is you want to make everyone aware, all the volunteers that's in the room, make them aware of what's going on. That this is a food allergy, or this is not. This kid has this allergy, this kid has that allergy, and then you make the accommodations that are appropriate to the area and the position that you're working in. So, what I mean by that is that there's some times where like a kid has like a nut allergy, and I was like, all right, if they have a nut allergy, then they're not. We have zero nuts in our area, period. So like with candy, my rule was always fruity, chewy. It can be fruity and it can be chewy because the likelihood of them being exposed to nuts is not there. Now, when it came with kids who had like celiacs or were like allergic to gluten, what I did with those kids is I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the labels. I'm going to work with the parents to make sure that they have the right thing that they need when they need it. Especially, and if I gave out a candy as a prize, I also had other prizes that were available to these kids that they could do that was tangible, like a small toy or something, or candy that was approved by them. And I worked with the parents to help them do that. So when you're putting out like food for like a snack, or like you're at group time and you're having this, what you want to do is you want to make everyone available that's like, hey, this is it. We're having this. So if you could, please put this food over here that is allergy safe for everybody. and or ask the parents to bring something that the kids can be a part of, that the kid who has the allergy can have a part of. Now, as far as like your pastor not addressing things and that, there's a couple things there, and because I haven't talked to you personally, I don't know exactly what's going on there. But first thing I would say is, one, you need to have a conversation with your pastor about these concerns that you're having. And you need to address them. And then, because what can happen is that if you don't express your expectations, then they're not living up to those expressed expectations, then you can get bitter because they're not living up to those expectations. But the other person has no idea, because they don't know what you've told them. They don't know the standard that you're holding them to. So what you need to do is you need to express to your pastor, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I see happening. Can you address this? What would you have to say about this, or what would you like to see about this? Because what may be a big concern for you may not be a concern for the pastor, and then you're getting all mad and worked up, and the pastor's like, what are you talking about? So then you can kind of have that conversation and talk it out and work through. The next thing you can do is, there's sometimes where if the pastor hears this or doesn't see it as a concern, what you need to do is what's called leading up. Of saying, okay, I'm going to create the change that I want to see. I'm not going to just sit here with my ideas and my thoughts and just keep them in my own little bubble. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to make those suggestions when they come available. I'm going to, in the area, in the places that I can control and the places that I can influence, I'm going to make those changes there. And as you make those changes, and if those changes bring out benefit, then other people will join along. It's the same thing that Daniel did. And when they were giving him all the royal food, when he and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego first went there, they knew that it was against their laws to eat that kind of food. And so they went to the guy and said, hey, you don't have to do this for everybody else, but for us, let us do this. And if it doesn't work out, we'll pay the consequences for it. But if it does, you're going to let us continue to live this way. And so the guard's like, okay, fine. He didn't have necessarily anything to lose from it, because they had everything to lose. And ultimately, it turned out better for them. And so you want to do the same thing in your area of saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. These are the changes I want to see. If you're concerned about allergies, these are the different ways that I want the allergies to be set, to put out the food so people don't see it. So the kids can partake of it properly. And that way you can have it. Then now the last thing here, where she talks about, I was just clicked back over the question. She says there's some dysfunction amongst the team members. Okay, now you, as the children's ministry leader, you are the leader. Okay, and so if there is dysfunction in the team, that is your job to address that function. Now, you can bring in your pastor, the leader, your boss in there to help mediate the things. You can ask them for advice about how to best handle this situation, but ultimately you're the person that's in charge. And the behavior that the volunteers have is what you allow to happen in there. And I know they're not paid staff, so there is a limit in there, but just because they're volunteers and they're doing this for free doesn't mean that you can't set a high expectation of the behavior that you find acceptable and what you don't. And so what you need to do is you need to sit down with these people that are having problems. You can do it individually or you can do it together. I would probably suggest, without knowing all the details, I would suggest do it individually first. Sit down with each person, have them explain to you what's going on, what's the problem with the other one, and then and then after you've heard them, say, okay, I hear what you're saying. This is what you need to do. Or I hear what you're saying. This is what needs to happen. And when I hear what you're saying, the way you responded to this is not how we on this team are going to respond in this manner. So I'll give you an example from a teaching example. When I taught high school math last year, and I have one student who's very particular about the chair that she was sitting in. Even though we didn't have a assigned seat, she wanted to sit in that chair. And so I took a day off for whatever reason, and they're just a sub in. And so when I came back the next day, I asked like, hey, how did it go? What happened? And they told me that this girl made a big stink about everything, and that someone else had sat in her chair, and she was just being horrible about it. And it was just an embarrassment to the class, and like the other periods had heard about it. And so I went and talked to her, and I was like, hey, tell me what happened. Explain to me what happened, what's going on. And then I was like, look, I understand that you really like your chair, but I need you to understand that that behavior is unacceptable. And I know I was only talking to a 16-year-old girl at the point, but that also works for 36-year-olds. You are the ones who set the expectations. You're the one who says this is what's acceptable behavior and what's not. Okay. Now, if that dysfunction continues, whose fault is that? Is that these people's fault between the two team members, or is that your fault? Because after you've already addressed the problem, then and they continue to do it, what you got to do is you have to continue to call it out. And then eventually what could happen is either one of two things. One, they quit because they're tired of you getting on their case about getting all over it. Or two, you're going to have to let them go. You're going to be like, look, this is the expectations that we set, that we want everyone to work in unity. We want people to work together, that when we have a problem with one another, that we are going to address that head on, or you're at least going to go up. You're not going to go to other people. You're not going to go around. You're either going to talk directly to the person that you have a problem with, or you're going to come to me and we're going to mediate this problem. And if you cannot live up to those expectations, if you can't do that, then you can no longer serve here. We will find another place for you to serve that's not in this children's ministry. Because and the reason why this is so important is that your ministry can only move at the speed of unity. And if you have dysfunction in your team, if your volunteers are fighting against each other, if there's gossip and bitterness and all these other things, that is going to hamstring your ability to reach more people for Jesus. And that is the most important thing. So remind the people that, like, hey, this is what we're in this for. We're here to teach these children about Jesus, to reach more people for Jesus. It's not about all your personal drama you got on. This is what we're here to deal with. And if we can't find a resolution in this, then I'm sorry, then we're going to resolve it for you, in that you're no longer going to be a part of this team. And I know that's harsh, and we always want to make people feel good. And especially if you're going to fire somebody and they're going to get all upset about it, you definitely want to have your lead pastor in on the loop. They do not want surprises. Keep them informed of what's going on. And your lead pastor may lead you to say, hey, you're just going to have to make good, because I've had that happen too. But in an ideal world, this is what needs to happen, of like, okay, these are the expectations. This is what I want you to do. This is where I want to go. So those are the questions that I have so far. Once again, thank you so much for getting Next Level Kidmin launch team. I really appreciate that. If you're watching this on YouTube as a replay later, I would love for you to get the book Next Level Kidmin. It's right over here. This is the book right here. It is available on all your favorite retailers. Grab it on Amazon. You can find it out. You can find it on my website at davidrenault.org. I'm going to put the link in the comments or in the description of this video. And grab that book, share it with children's ministry leaders that you know, or share it with, if you're a children's ministry leader, I hope this resource can really help you build a thriving children's ministry that reaches more people for Jesus, because that's really what it's all about for me. So thank you so very much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.